We stand today before a monument of human thought. What you are about to engage with is not merely a collection of motivational platitudes or temporary inspirations. It is the organized codification of the principles that built the modern world. Before Think and Grow Rich became a household name, there was a vaster, more comprehensive work. A work that took 20 years of grueling research to compile. A work commissioned by the richest man on earth at the time, Andrew Carnegie, and executed by a young, determined journalist named Napoleon Hill. This is the law of success. Why do we call it a law? Because these principles do not rely on luck. They do not rely on your background, your education, or the current state of the economy. Like the law of gravity, they are immutable, universal principles. If you align yourself with them, you rise. If you ignore them, you fall. It is not personal, it is mechanics. For the next several hours, across multiple sessions, we are going to disassemble the machinery of success piece by piece, analyze it, and teach you how to rebuild your life with it. Andrew Carnegie told the young Napoleon Hill that it was a shame that each new generation had to discover the pathway to success through trial and error when the principles could be organized into a philosophy and taught. That philosophy is what we now begin. Forget everything you think you know about positive thinking. We are here to discuss engineering, the engineering of a human destiny. To begin, we must understand that power is required for success. Hill defined power very specifically. Power is organized and intelligently directed knowledge. Most people have knowledge. They have schooling. They have experiences. But their knowledge is scattered. It is disorganized. It is frantic energy dissipated in 1,000 directions. The law of success is the blueprint for organizing that energy and directing it like a laser beam toward a single outcome. We begin this journey with the first two, and perhaps the most vital of the 16 laws, the mastermind and a definite chief aim. Let us begin with the mastermind. It is a stubborn fact of history that no individual has ever achieved anything of enduring greatness alone. The myth of the self-made man is just that, a myth. Napoleon Hill defined the mastermind as the coordination of knowledge and effort in a spirit of harmony between two or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose. There is a psychic chemistry that occurs when two or more minds connect in a spirit of perfect harmony toward a single goal. Hill discovered that a third mind is created, one that is greater than the sum of the individual minds involved. Think of a single battery. It has a certain amount of potential energy. Now, connect that battery in a series with 10 other batteries. The power output is not merely additive, it is exponential. You can run heavy machinery with networked batteries that a single battery could not even budge. You are that single battery. You may be intelligent. You may be ambitious. But your power is finite. You only have 24 hours in a day. You only have your own experiences to draw upon. When you form a mastermind alliance, you are plugging into the experiences, the education, the capital, and the influence of others. Andrew Carnegie knew nothing about the technical aspects of making steel. He surrounded himself with men who did. His genius was not in chemistry. His genius was in understanding the law of the mastermind, the ability to direct the brain power of other men. The poverty consciousness, which we have discussed before, views other people with suspicion. It hoards ideas. It operates in isolation, fearing that sharing is losing. The success consciousness understands that isolation is weakness. It seeks alliance. It seeks harmonious cooperation. But notice the critical caveat in Hill's definition, in a spirit of harmony. A group of people merely working together is not a mastermind. If there is friction, jealousy, or hidden agendas, the chemical reaction does not occur. In fact, a group without harmony is destructive. It drains power rather than creating it. Your first task in applying the law of success is to audit your alliances. Who are you aligned with? Do you have a mastermind group? Or are you surrounded by people who are merely drifting? Are you trying to build an empire with people who are content to build sandcastles? You must seek out individuals whose skills complement your own, whose temperament balances your own, and most importantly, whose loyalty to the shared purpose is absolute. This leads us directly to the second great law, without which a mastermind cannot function: a definite chief aim. You cannot coordinate effort if you do not know where you are going. A mastermind group without a definite chief aim is like a magnificent ship with a powerful engine and a skilled crew, but no rudder and no compass. It will sail in circles until it runs out of fuel or crashes onto the rocks. Hill estimated that 98% of people are what he called drifters. They go through life reacting to whatever happens to them. They take a job because it was offered. They live in a town because they were born there. They are guided by the winds of circumstance, not by a charted course. The person who understands the law of success selects a definite chief aim. They know exactly what they want. They know exactly when they intend to have it. And they know what they are willing to give in return for it. This singleness of purpose does something profound to the human mind. It forces you to concentrate your forces. Consider the sun. Its rays beat down on the earth every day, providing gentle warmth. But if you take a magnifying glass and focus those scattered rays onto a single point, you can create fire. Why do so few people have a definite chief aim? Because of fear. To define a goal is to define the possibility of failure. If you never say what you want, you never have to admit you didn't get it. Drifting feels safe. But drifting is the most dangerous thing you can do. Nature abhors a vacuum. If you do not have a plan for your life, someone else does. You will become a brick in another man's building. To apply this law, you must stop being vague. I want to be rich is not a definite chief aim. It is a wish. I want to be happy is not a definite chief aim. It is a sentiment. A definite chief aim is specific. It is measurable. It is time-bound. It must be written down. It must be committed to memory and repeated until it becomes a part of your subconscious programming. When you combine these two laws, when you have a definite chief aim and you are backed by a mastermind alliance in harmony with that aim, you have laid the unbreakable foundation for success. You have moved from the realm of chance into the realm of law. You have stopped drifting and started steering. This is the beginning of power, and it is where we must rest until the next session, where we will discuss the fuel that drives this engine, self-confidence and the habit of saving. Series title: The Grand Architecture of Achievement. Episode 2 title: The Armor and the Treasury, based on The Law of Success in 16 Lessons by Napoleon Hill. Runtime: approximate 60 minutes. We return to the construction site of your destiny. In our first hour, we poured the concrete foundation. We established that no man succeeds alone. This is the law of the mastermind. We established that no ship sails without a destination. This is the law of a definite chief aim. But a foundation, no matter how deep or strong, is not a building. You can stand on a foundation, but you cannot live in it. It offers no shelter from the storms of life. It offers no storage for your treasures. Now we must raise the walls. We must install the locking mechanisms of the mind and the vault of the estate. We enter now into the third and fourth laws of success, self-confidence and the habit of saving. It is a tragedy of the human condition that a person may possess the genius of an Edison, the education of a Harvard professor, and the connections of a diplomat, and yet die a pauper. Because the mechanism that translates potential into kinetic energy is broken. That mechanism is self-confidence. Napoleon Hill discovered a startling truth in his analysis of over 16,000 people. He found that the vast majority of people are suffering from a form of spiritual paralysis. They know what they should do. They know how to do it. But they cannot get themselves to act. This paralysis is caused by fear. Fear is the psychological equivalent of sand in the gears of a machine. It creates friction. It creates heat. It eventually causes the entire engine to seize. Hill identified the 6 basic fears that haunt humanity: the fear of poverty, the fear of old age, the fear of ill health, the fear of loss of love of someone, the fear of criticism, and the fear of death. Of these, the 2 that kill self-confidence most effectively are the fear of poverty and the fear of criticism. The fear of criticism robs you of your initiative. It destroys your imagination. It makes you a slave to the opinions of others. How many times have you had a flash of inspiration, a definite chief aim that excited your soul, only to have it extinguished the moment you imagined what your neighbors, your family, or your coworkers might say? That hesitation is the death knell of self-confidence. Self-confidence is not arrogance. Arrogance is a mask worn to hide fear. Self-confidence is a state of mind where you know, with absolute certainty, that you are equal to the task before you. It is a quiet knowing. But how does one acquire it? You cannot simply buy it. You cannot borrow it. You must build it. Hill provided us with a psychological formula, a prescription for the mind that is as scientific as mixing chemicals in a laboratory. It relies on the principle of autosuggestion. We know that a lie, repeated often enough, becomes accepted as truth. This is a dark aspect of human psychology used by tyrants throughout history. But the law of success asks you to use this same principle for liberation. If you repeat to your subconscious mind that you are capable, that you are unafraid, and that you are destined for your chief aim, your subconscious mind has no choice but to believe you. It does not argue. It accepts the command. This is why Hill insisted on this self-confidence formula. He demanded that his students sign it and repeat it aloud once a day. I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action toward its attainment. Notice the language. I demand. Not, I hope. Not, I wish. The development of self-confidence requires you to act as a strict disciplinarian over your own thoughts. You must stand guard at the door of your mind. Every time a thought of doubt tries to enter, a thought that says, I'm not smart enough, I'm too old, I don't have the money, you must treat it as an enemy intruder. You must cast it out instantly and replace it with a thought of confidence. This is mental warfare. Without self-confidence, your mastermind group will lose respect for you. A leader who doubts himself cannot lead others. Without self-confidence, your definite chief aim becomes a torment, a reminder of what you want but do not have the courage to claim. But let us assume you have built this confidence. You are ready to charge the gates of the world. You have the ambition. You have the plan. You will still fail if you ignore the fourth law. The fourth law is the least exciting to the romantic mind, but it is the most brutal in its application. It is the habit of saving. We are not speaking here of merely pinching pennies. We are not speaking of becoming a miser who lives in misery to die rich. We are speaking of the accumulation of power. In the modern world, money is crystallized energy. It is stored options. It is condensed freedom. Napoleon Hill stated bluntly, "No man can express the best that is in him while he is wrestling with the fear of poverty." If you are living paycheck to paycheck, you are not free. You are a slave to the immediate necessity. You cannot negotiate from a position of strength because you cannot afford to walk away from the table. The habit of saving is not about the money itself. It is about the psychological effect that a surplus of money has on your character. Imagine two men. The first man earns a fortune but spends every dime. He lives in a grand house, drives the finest car, and wears the finest clothes. But he has zero in reserve. He carries the fear of poverty in his heart every hour of every day. If he loses his job, he is ruined. If an opportunity arises to invest in a new invention, he is helpless. He has no power. When he walks into a meeting, there is a subtle vibration of anxiety in his voice. He needs the deal. And because he needs it, he is at a disadvantage. The second man earns a modest income, but he has mastered the habit of saving. He sets aside a definite percentage of his income before he pays the grocer, before he pays the landlord, before he buys a suit. He pays himself first. Over time, he builds a wall of protection. He has 6 months, a year, 5 years of living expenses sitting in the vault. When this man walks into a meeting, he does not vibrate with anxiety. He vibrates with poise. He does not need the deal. He wants the deal, perhaps, but he does not need it to survive. This gives him the courage to say no. This gives him the courage to negotiate. This gives him the freedom to fire a bad boss or leave a toxic environment. The habit of saving buys you the greatest luxury on earth, the right to dictate your own terms to life. Hill taught that the habit of saving is the foundation of courage. It is very hard to be courageous on an empty stomach. It is very hard to be a man of principle when the rent is overdue. Furthermore, the law of success dictates that opportunities are constantly passing by. But opportunities are often disguised. They require vision to see, and they require capital to seize. When the mastermind presents an opportunity, a chance to buy a business, a chance to invest in land, the man with the habit of saving is ready. The man without it must stand on the sidelines and watch the parade of fortune pass him by. He says, "If only I had the money." But he did have the money. It passed through his hands. He just gave it to the shoemaker, the tailor, and the entertainer, instead of keeping a portion for himself. The habit of saving creates a magnetic field. It is a strange but observable law of the universe that money attracts money. To him that hath, more shall be given. When you begin to accumulate a surplus, you set up a rhythmic vibration of success. You begin to feel like a success. You walk differently. You are no longer the underdog. You are a capitalist. And do not be deceived into thinking you must wait until you earn a large income to begin this habit. That is the trap of the poor mindset. I will save when I make more money. You will not. If you cannot save pennies out of $1, you will not save dollars out of 1,000. The habit is independent of the amount. It is a rewiring of your nervous system to value your future self more than your present impulses. Let us look deeper into the connection between these two laws, confidence and saving. They are the twin pillars of the gate. Self-confidence gives you the power to earn. The habit of saving gives you the power to keep. If you have confidence but no savings, you are a flash in the pan. You rise fast and crash hard. We see this in athletes and entertainers who make millions and end up bankrupt. They lacked the character discipline of the fourth law. If you have savings but no confidence, you are a hoarder. You sit on a pile of gold but live in fear, afraid to invest, afraid to grow, afraid to live. You have the fuel, but you refuse to light the engine. But when you combine them, when you have the audacious belief in your own ability to generate value, self-confidence, backed by a fortress of capital that protects you from the whims of fortune, savings, you become a force of nature. You become what Hill called a master of destiny. There is a metaphysical aspect to the habit of saving as well. Hill suggested that the self-discipline required to save money is the same self-discipline required to master one's emotions, appetites, and impulses. When you force yourself to save 10% of your income, you are exercising the muscle of willpower. You are telling your desires, "No, you do not control me. I control you." This strengthens the will. And a strong will is the backbone of self-confidence. Do you see how they feed each other? Every time you put money in the bank, you are making a deposit into your self-respect. You are proving to yourself that you are in command of your own life. Conversely, every time you spend money you do not have, every time you go into debt for a liability, you are making a withdrawal from your self-respect. You are admitting that your impulse for immediate gratification is stronger than your desire for freedom. Debt is the opposite of the habit of saving. Debt is the habit of slavery. Napoleon Hill warned sternly against the accumulation of debt. He saw it as a fatal habit that destroys enthusiasm. How can a man be enthusiastic about his work when he knows that the fruit of his labor already belongs to another? The debtor works for the past. The saver works for the future. And there is a magnetic radiance in the man who has mastered the third law. He enters a room and the atmosphere changes. People want to be near him. They want to know what he knows. They sense that he is connected to a source of power. As we conclude this second hour, I want you to visualize the structure we are building. You stand on the foundation of a mastermind and a definite chief aim. You are surrounded by the wall of protection built by the habit of saving. And you are armored in the invulnerable steel of self-confidence. You are now safe. You are now prepared. But you are not yet moving. A fortress that does not move is merely a monument. To turn this structure into a vehicle, to make it travel toward your desires, you need an engine and a steering wheel. In our next session, we will install the engine of initiative and leadership, and we will unlock the mysterious laboratory of the imagination. We will discuss why most people wait for things to happen, while the master happens to things. We will discuss the quality that makes a man a general rather than a soldier. But for now, your work is internal. Look in the mirror. Do you see a person of confidence? Look in your bank account. Do you see the evidence of self-mastery? If the answer is no, do not despair. You have the tools now. Begin the auto-suggestion. Write the check to your future self. The law of success is operating. Align yourself with it. The architecture continues. Series title: The Grand Architecture of Achievement. Episode 3 title: The Engine and the Workshop, based on The Law of Success in 16 Lessons by Napoleon Hill. Runtime: approximate 60 minutes. We have now laid the foundation of the mastermind and a definite chief aim. We have erected the walls of the habit of saving and cemented them with the mortar of self-confidence. The structure stands. It is secure. It is fortified. But it is still. A fortress that does not move is merely a monument to potential. It occupies space, but it does not conquer territory. To transform this static structure into a dynamic force, a force that can move through the world and bend reality to its will, we must install the engine and we must unlock the workshop. We enter now into the 5th and 6th laws of success: initiative and leadership, and imagination. These 2 laws are the twin pistons of achievement. One represents the decision to start. The other represents the vision of where to go. Without them, you may have the confidence to act and the money to sustain yourself, but you will have no new ideas to offer the world, and you will wait endlessly for someone else to tell you what to do. Let us begin with the 5th law: initiative and leadership. Napoleon Hill combined these 2 into a single lesson for a specific reason. Leadership is nothing more than initiative crystallized into a habit. There are 2 types of people in this world. There are those who wait for things to happen, and there are those who make things happen. The vast majority of humanity falls into the first category. They wait for the economy to improve. They wait for a raise. They wait for the right time. They wait for permission. The man possessed of initiative does not wait. He creates his own circumstances. If the door is locked, he finds a window. If the window is barred, he breaks through the wall. If the wall is impregnable, he digs a tunnel. He is an irresistible force because he has liberated himself from the paralyzing habit of procrastination. Hill taught that initiative is the spark plug of the human engine. You may have the fuel, desire, you may have the transmission, plan, and you may have the steering wheel, definite aim, but without the spark of initiative, the engine remains cold and silent. What is the defining characteristic of initiative? It is doing the right thing without being told. There is a hierarchy of value in the marketplace of life. At the bottom are those who never do what they are told. They are the liabilities. They are quickly discarded. Above them are those who do what they are told, but no more. They are the wage slaves. They earn a living, but they never earn a fortune. Above them are those who do the right thing without being told, but only once in a while. They are the reliable workers. But at the very apex, the place where the air is thin and the rewards are infinite, stand those who consistently do the right thing without being told, and who then look for more to do. This is the essence of leadership. Leadership is not a title. It is not a corner office. It is not a position on an organizational chart. Leadership is a frequency of behavior. It is the refusal to be a passenger in your own life. Hill identified 2 forms of leadership: leadership by consent and leadership by force. Leadership by force is the way of the dictator, the tyrant, and the bully. It relies on fear. It is temporary. History is littered with the statues of toppled dictators. Leadership by consent is the way of the master. It relies on sympathy, understanding, and justice. The leader by consent marches in front. He asks no one to do what he is not willing to do himself. He serves those he leads. Why do so few people step into leadership? Because leadership carries a heavy price. That price is criticism. The moment you step out of the line of average, the moment you raise your hand and say, "I will take responsibility," you become a target. The drifters will resent you. The timid will fear you. The jealous will attack you. The man without initiative withers under this criticism. He retreats back into the safety of the herd. The man with initiative understands that criticism is merely the friction caused by motion. If you are standing still, you create no friction. If you are moving at the speed of destiny, you will create heat. You must develop a heat shield. You must accept that being misunderstood is a part of the tuition you pay for greatness. But how do you develop initiative? It is a muscle like any other. You build it through the practice of doing more than you are paid for. This connects us back to the law of compensation. When you consistently take the initiative to render more service and better service than is expected of you, you are exercising the muscle of leadership. You are training your subconscious mind to be proactive rather than reactive. Imagine a scenario in your workplace. A problem arises. It is not your job to fix it. The drifter looks at it and walks away. "They don't pay me enough to worry about that," he says. The person developing the fifth law looks at the problem and sees an opportunity. He takes the initiative to solve it. He does not ask for credit immediately. He simply solves it. He has just raised his vibration. He has signaled to the universe and his employer that he is overqualified for his current position. By the law of displacement, he must rise. A cork held underwater must rise to the surface when released. The man of initiative creates his own buoyancy. Now, let us assume you have this drive. You are ready to act. You are a person of action. But action without vision is chaos. Activity is not achievement. You can run in circles until you collapse and get nowhere. You need the workshop where plans are created. You need the sixth law, imagination. Napoleon Hill called the imagination the workshop of the mind. It is the laboratory in which all plans are fashioned. It is the mirror in which we can see the future before it happens. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. We have heard this phrase 1,000 times until it has lost its edge. But stop and examine the first word, conceive. To conceive means to give birth to an idea in the womb of the imagination. Hill taught that man can create nothing which he does not first conceive in the form of an impulse of thought. The chair you are sitting on was once just an image in a carpenter's mind. The internet was once just a flicker of a thought. The United States of America was once just a dangerous idea discussed in a tavern. The imagination is the only thing in the world over which you have absolute control other than your will. It is the one place where you are the god of your own universe. There are two forms of imagination, and it is critical that you understand the distinction. First, there is synthetic imagination. This is the faculty that arranges old concepts, old ideas, and old plans into new combinations. It does not create something from nothing. It rearranges what already exists. This is where 90% of business success comes from. Edison did not invent electricity. He used his synthetic imagination to combine the existing knowledge of physics, glass blowing, and filaments into a new combination, the incandescent bulb. Henry Ford did not invent the engine or the carriage. He combined them with the concept of the moving assembly line, borrowed from meatpacking plants, to create a new industrial reality. Synthetic imagination is the tool of the practical man. It is the ability to look at a pile of scrap metal and see a machine. It is the ability to look at a market need and see a product. Second, there is creative imagination. This is the faculty through which the finite mind of man has direct communication with infinite intelligence. It is the faculty through which hunches and inspirations are received. This is the realm of the genius. When you are laboring over a problem, using your synthetic imagination to try every possible combination, and you hit a wall, and then, suddenly, while you are in the shower or taking a walk, the answer flashes into your mind complete and perfect. That is creative imagination. You have tapped into the universal mind. The tragedy of the average person is that they let their imagination atrophy. They stop using it when they leave childhood. They accept reality as it is presented to them. They say, "It is what it is." The master says, "It is what I imagine it to be." How do you reactivate this workshop? You must challenge it. The law of success demands that you set aside time for thinking hours. Not working hours. Thinking hours. Sit in a quiet room with a pad of paper. Write your definite chief aim at the top. And then ask your imagination a question. How can I double my value in the next 30 days? How can I render more service to more people? What is the one thing I am ignoring that is holding me back? At first, your mind will remain silent. The hinges of the workshop are rusty. But if you sit there, if you demand an answer, the imagination will begin to stir. An idea will come. It may seem small. It may seem silly. Write it down. Then another will come. Soon, the rusty gears will groan into motion. The dust will clear. The fires of the workshop will roar back to life. You will find that ideas are like living things. They want to be born, but they are fragile. Hill warned that an idea is like a newborn baby. It cannot support itself. You must nurse it. You must protect it from the negative blasts of criticism. If you share your newborn idea with a cynic, they will kill it in the cradle. Keep your new ideas within the safety of your mastermind group until they are strong enough to stand on their own. We have built a magnificent machine. In our previous sessions, we poured the foundation of the mastermind. We erected the walls of saving. We installed the engine of initiative and unlocked the workshop of imagination. The structure is sound. The mechanism is intricate. But as any engineer will tell you, a powerful engine is a dangerous thing if it lacks two critical components: a fuel system to generate heat and a governor to regulate the speed. If you have a high-performance engine and you pour in high-octane fuel but have no steering wheel and no brakes, you do not have a vehicle of success, you have a vehicle of suicide. You will not reach your destination, you will reach a wreckage. We enter now into the 7th and 8th laws of success: enthusiasm and self-control. These two laws are the paradox of the master. They seem to contradict one another. Enthusiasm is the accelerator. Self-control is the brake. Enthusiasm is the fire. Self-control is the steel containment vessel. Enthusiasm is the yes of life. Self-control is the no. The master does not choose between them. He combines them. It is this combination, controlled enthusiasm, that creates the magnetic personality which the world calls charisma. Let us begin with the seventh law, enthusiasm. Napoleon Hill defined enthusiasm as a state of mind that inspires and arouses one to put action into the task at hand. It is more than just energy, it is faith in action. If self-confidence is the quiet knowing that you can do it, enthusiasm is the loud vibration that tells the world you are doing it. Why is enthusiasm essential? Because success involves selling. You are constantly selling. You are selling your services to an employer. You are selling your ideas to your mastermind group. You are selling your vision to your spouse. You are selling your leadership to your children. And there is a fundamental psychological law of selling. You cannot sell a feeling you do not possess. Enthusiasm is contagious. But so is indifference. If you speak about your definite chief aim with a flat voice, a slumped posture, and a dull eye, you are broadcasting a signal of doubt. You are literally hypnotizing the other person to say, no. But when you are possessed by enthusiasm, your voice changes frequency. Your eyes light up. Your vibration increases. This vibration bypasses the conscious, critical mind of the listener and speaks directly to their emotions. Hill observed that a man of great enthusiasm can often defeat a man of superior logic. Because logic speaks to the brain, but enthusiasm speaks to the heart. And the heart writes the checks. But here is the secret that most miss. Enthusiasm is not just for influencing others. It is for influencing yourself. We discussed autosuggestion in previous hours. We learned that we must plant commands in the subconscious mind. Enthusiasm is the fertilizer for those seeds. If you repeat your affirmation mechanically, I am wealthy, your subconscious mind will ignore it. It knows you are lying. But if you repeat it with enthusiasm, if you emotionalize the words, the subconscious mind opens wide and accepts the command. Enthusiasm is the bridge between the conscious thought and the subconscious action. Now, you may ask, how can I be enthusiastic when I am broke? When I am tired? When I have failed? This is the trap of the poor mindset. It waits to feel good before it acts good. The law of success demands the opposite. As the psychologist William James taught, and Hill reiterated, act enthusiastic and you will become enthusiastic. It is a physiological trick. Force yourself to smile. Force yourself to walk faster. Force yourself to shake hands with a firm grip. Speak 20% louder than you feel like speaking. Within minutes, your blood chemistry changes. The feeling follows the action. You can jumpstart your own battery. However, if we stopped here, we would create a monster. We have all met the person of unchecked enthusiasm. The loudmouth. The backslapper. The person who talks too much, laughs too loud, and invades your space. They have the accelerator floored, but they have no steering wheel. They are not magnetic, they are repelling. They exhaust us. This brings us to the eighth law, the necessary counterbalance, self-control. If enthusiasm is the quality that starts the action, self-control is the quality that directs it. Hill stated, the man who cannot control himself can never control others. Self-control is not merely the suppression of anger, though that is part of it. It is the mastery of all impulses. It is the ability to keep your mouth shut when you are burning to speak. It is the ability to save money when you are burning to spend. It is the ability to keep working when you are burning to rest. But its highest application is in the direction of thought. The person with self-control does not allow their mind to dwell on grievances. When someone insults you, the instinct is to strike back. That is the animal nature. The master uses self-control to absorb the blow, neutralize the anger, and respond with strategy rather than reaction. Hill often spoke of the poker face. This does not mean being emotionless. It means being unreadable to your enemies and reassuring to your allies. When disaster strikes, when the market crashes, when the deal falls through, the team looks to the leader. If the leader lacks self-control, he panics. His panic infects the mastermind. The structure collapses. If the leader possesses self-control, he remains calm. He may feel fear, but he does not broadcast fear. He broadcasts stability. This is the governor on the engine. It keeps the RPM steady, no matter the load. Let us examine the synthesis of these two laws. This is where the magic happens. Controlled enthusiasm. Imagine a high-pressure fire hose. If you turn on the water, enthusiasm, but you do not hold the nozzle firm, self-control, the hose whips around violently. It destroys the garden it was meant to water. It hurts the operator. But if you hold the nozzle in a vice grip of self-control, that high-pressure water becomes a laser beam. It can cut through steel. It can reach the top of the burning building. This is the personality of the Titan. They are not manic. They are intense. They do not shout. They speak with a low, resonant power. They are vibrating with energy, but they are holding it in check. This creates a sense of leashed power. People are drawn to leashed power. They respect it. They fear it slightly. And they follow it. How do you practice the synthesis? First, practice the silence of self-control. The next time you are in a negotiation or an argument and you feel the urge to interrupt, take a breath. Look the person in the eye and say nothing. Let the silence do the work. The person with the poor mindset cannot stand silence. They will babble and reveal their hand. The person with the rich mindset is comfortable in the silence. This is self-control in action. It signals that you do not need their approval. It signals that you are the immovable object. Second, practice the focus of enthusiasm. Don't spray your enthusiasm on everything. Don't be enthusiastic about the weather, and the sports game, and the gossip, and the business. That dilutes your power. Save your enthusiasm for your definite chief aim. Be boring about other things if you must. But when the topic turns to your definite chief aim, let the fire out. Let people see the change in your eyes. This contrast makes your enthusiasm valuable. Hill also warned that self-control is the only barrier against the law of retaliation. When someone treats you poorly, the natural law says you should treat them poorly in return. An eye for an eye. But the master understands that if he drops to the level of his opponent, he loses. Self-control allows you to break the cycle. When met with hate, you return indifference or kindness. This confuses the attacker. It throws them off balance. It deprives them of the satisfaction of a fight. In that moment, you have taken control of the interaction. You have won without throwing a punch. we must also touch upon the physical aspect of self-control. Hill was adamant that you cannot have a powerful mind in a poisoned body. Self-control extends to what you eat and what you drink. If you are sluggish from overeating, your enthusiasm will die. The boiler has no steam. If you are clouded by intoxicants, your self-control will fail. The governor is broken. You are building a high-performance machine. You cannot fuel it with garbage. As we conclude this 4th hour, you now have a complete dynamic system. Asterisk foundation, asterisk mastermind and definite chief aim. Asterisk walls, asterisk habit of saving and self-confidence. Asterisk engine, asterisk initiative and imagination. Asterisk fuel and brakes, asterisk enthusiasm and self-control. You are almost ready to take this vehicle onto the highway of life. But there is a problem with the highway. It is full of distractions. It is full of fog. It is full of mirages. How do you know what is true and what is false? How do you know where to focus your beam of controlled enthusiasm? In our next session, we will tackle the 9th and 10th laws, the habit of doing more than paid for, revisited in depth, and, crucially, pleasing personality and accurate thinking. We will teach you how to become a sniper of the mind. We will teach you how to separate facts from information and evidence from gossip. We will teach you how to see the world as it is, so you can remake it as it should be. Your assignment for the next 24 hours is the governor test. Go through your day with high energy. Walk fast. Work hard. But speak less. When you feel an emotion rising, anger, excitement, fear, catch it. Hold it. Look at it. Do not let it express itself until you give it permission. Be the driver, not the passenger. The fire is lit. Control the burn.